Hello, everyone. It's Warriors NRL Fanatics here tonight. Joining me actually is a special guest for the first time on this channel, actually, and I'll let him introduce himself. They are involved in they do a podcast called the Kiwi NRL Podcast. But thanks for joining me, actually, and I'll let you introduce yourself and what you guys do, and thanks for coming on.
Well, kia ora, mate. Yeah, my name's Lenny. I'm from the Kiwi NRL Podcast, and so basically it's just me and a few of the boys. We have a few beers and we talk about the NRL and rugby league in general, but it's specifically from a Kiwi perspective. So as yourself you do a really good job with the Warriors, and I consume a lot of your content and then a lot of Australian rugby league content, but we just felt like we could offer something else where it was just focusing on all the Kiwis playing in the NRL and focus on the Kiwis team. Especially after we hadn't really had a test in like a couple of years. So, so that's the basis of the podcast, really. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, it's good to see another podcaster out there in terms of just the New Zealand perspective as well. And there's quite a few out there at the moment. You got you got Hold the Boys, a YouTuber as well. He does a lot of content in terms of rugby league. New Zealand, he's a Kiwi like myself. He's a Warriors fan as well. And you've also got the Ruin Hammer, they're Australian-based Warriors supporters over here. So you've got a few good content creators out there at the moment who do a good job. And obviously you guys doing a podcast in itself based in New Zealand. So, yeah, it's great, actually. It's great that you guys are on board and doing stuff in your perspective. But how long have you guys been doing the podcast? Like, when did you start off?
So it was probably about round 10 of the NRL. So I was talking about it, and then my wife just do it. So I already had the kit because I do a couple of other podcasts as well. So, but I'm a massive rugby league fan, tragic, massive Wild supporter, and a massive Kiwi supporter. So, just dove right in with a bit of a concept, and it wasn't perfect from the start, but you just got to start somewhere.
Yeah, that's great. So it's you and how many others do the podcast? Like, how many others do you have on your podcast?
So generally we have a panel of 3 at least, sometimes 2, depending on what all the boys are up to, because we all have full-time jobs and whatnot. But I think there's probably a group of probably 5 to 6 of us. So like I said, it's I'm probably the person who's here every time, but apart from myself, we have different people fill in, and just like I said, we're just all normal people, so we have jobs and shit, so we have to tag in and out. So, but yeah, I think all up there's about 5 to 6 of us who jumping in and out when they can.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, it's awesome to see that you and a couple others do a podcast and just a perspective on New Zealand Rugby League and and NRL as well, because you've got NRL in your title as well. So not just Kiwis you talk about the Kiwis, but you talk about the NRL also. So yeah, I mean, how long have you had a passion in rugby league, like as a fan? Like, how long have you been involved in rugby league in general?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm from a small town in the Waikato called Matamata, so it's a massive rugby union town, like most towns in New Zealand. And I don't know, I watched league growing up. My dad's a sports fan, so he predominantly watched rugby, but he watched league as well. And I still remember watching the first ever Warriors game with him. And I think it's one of those things, like in New Zealand, most people follow a bit of league. And then my brother and I just started following it a lot. And then when we were about 21 or whatever, we we wanted to play league, so we travelled over to Tauranga and played with the Otamoto Eels over there. So we played there for about 6 years. So we played union growing up, but we loved rugby league. So then we played a bit of that, and then I say I'm about 38 now. So on the age of 20, I've just been fully into rugby league. So it's just been a passion, and especially with the Warriors as well.
Yeah, on that, like you, what NRL team do you support? Firstly, what NRL team? For me, it's Warriors all the way as a Kiwi. Even though I live in Australia for 10, 11 years, I've been living here on the Gold Coast, but I was born in Auckland, New Zealand. But who's your NRL team? I know there's a lot of Kiwis that majority of Kiwis probably should support the Warriors, but a lot of Kiwis do support other teams as well. But who do you support in the NRL?
The Mighty Wars, man. Come on. There's no one else you can support. Good or bad, I'm there till the end.
Obviously, highs and lows as a Warriors fan, but you gotta stick by them. But just a question here, in regards to the Kiwis. Who's your favourite New Zealand Kiwis, current, past player, and current player, and why? Who's your favourite Kiwis player, current or past?
Well, my current favourite player is this guy. That's a picture of me at the Tonga game. You can see it.
Oh, yep.
So it's Ice Papali'i.
Nice.
Ice Puppy is probably my favourite current player. And if I was to name like a previous one, it's hard. I like the battlers and the toilers, so it'll be, even though Jeremy Smith didn't play that long, I love Jeremy Smith, but it'll have to be Simon Mannering. Will have to be my favourite player.
I can't argue against Simon Mannering's a legend of the game of rugby league, and I saw a picture of him and Roger a couple of weeks ago, which was great to see.
In Nelson, I think it was down in Nelson when the All Blacks were down there, right?
It was. It was. It was that too. Yeah, but what is your favourite New Zealand Kiwis memory, like a game in history that stands out for you as a Kiwis fan?
Oh, straight off the top of my head, it has to be the 2008 final. There's Billy Slater throw it back into Benji Marshall. That's up there. But just that whole build up to that World Cup, they've beaten us a couple of times. We were this massive underdogs, and that night was like, I don't know, you probably understand it as a Kiwis and Warriors supporter, but quite often you just don't get the bounce of the ball. And I felt like finally Aussie weren't getting the bounce of the ball. It was like one of the best nights of my life. But no, that was an epic game. That still has to be, it's the only time we've won it. So in my history of watching the Kiwis, that's the one that stands out to me the most.
Yeah, it was one of those games where we were massive underdogs going into it, and not many people were giving us a chance. And Australia started off pretty well too, and I think we struggled early on, but we got ourselves back in the game. And yes, it was.
I think it started from
remarkable.
Jeremy Smith try, actually. Yeah. Jeremy Smith barged over by the goalpost, but I watched a bit of it back just recently. Aussie had a bloody good team. They had Lockyer and Thurston in the halves. Like, that in itself is crazy just to have those two players in the same team. But one of the standouts in that game was Lance Hire as well. He played epic. But just what a moment.
Yeah, it was a great moment, absolutely. So who's your favourite current Kiwis player? Favourite Kiwi players in the NRL, like not just one player that you like to watch, like you like to keep an eye out for?
Yeah, watch most of them. Obviously, Ice Puppy is one of them. His rise from unfortunately after he left the Warriors, but hey, it happens. Sometimes they need to leave home to put themselves under the pressure, and pressure creates diamonds. It'll be Ice Puppy. That's right. Fisher Harris, obviously, is one of the best, and Tarpon is also a complete beast. I could rattle off the whole Kiwis team basically, but and the Cheese as well. He's a character, and I love Brenton McQuarter as well. Just the lines he runs. I love someone who runs a good hard line, and Brenton McQuarter does that.
Yeah. So what? This is actually a question that I thought about actually, and would you like to see another New Zealand team in the NRL, and who would it be? So the comp in the NRL next year is the 18th. Is it 18th team? No, it's the 17th team in the NRL. So who would you like to see if there was a Kiwi team in the NRL? Who would you like it to be, and what city? Like where would you like it to be, or would you prefer to just see the Warriors in the NRL? What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think obviously we're Kiwis, so I'm biased. I want another team, but
Yep.
I think for me, Christchurch would be the fit. They're pretty strong with rugby league down there. They usually, if you're looking at the provincial tournament, New Zealand, Christchurch, they're usually up there, or Canterbury are usually there or thereabouts. I think maybe once you're adding more teams, I think I'd like to see the NRL go into like more of a conference style system where you could have, say, Queensland and the New Zealand teams in one, Western Sydney in one, and then the rest of the Western Sydney and Southern Australia, in one, and then the rest of Sydney in another one, or something like that. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, I want another New Zealand team. It's great for New Zealand Rugby League to have if we had another one. I could see that. I could definitely see that happening. The NRL have spoken about it. So yeah, bring it on, I reckon.
Yeah. Also on that, do you think New Zealand's got the talent to field another team? Because that's I think for me it's my only concern is, do we have the the talent across the board to field another team? Because obviously with the Warriors being away for so many years with the COVID and that, and financially it's probably a struggle for the Warriors. But what do you think? Do you think the NRL, in terms of the NRL, do you think New Zealand can field another team? Do you think New Zealand can field another team?
That's a really good point, mate.
Yeah.
Even if you've got the Dolphins now, they've got a pretty good team, but that's even in itself suggesting, like, not only in New Zealand but over Australia and New Zealand, there isn't quite the talent pool to. Well, it's hard to say that until they actually play a game, but from looking at the roster,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's a good point. There's probably plenty of rugby players in New Zealand, but it takes a bit to turn them into league players. So I think that would be the biggest challenge if we were going to add another team. And you're 100% correct, that would be the hard bit. But it would be a bit of hard graft at the start, but then it's once again all about feeding into that. So it's about they'd have to have a New South Wales Cup team and a youth team, and I think that you'd like to think a lot more of the New Zealand talent would stay around. You would have less guys going over to other Australian teams and filling their rosters, and hopefully filling the other New Zealand team. But yeah, that would definitely be the biggest risk, or the biggest concern, is having the players to actually fill that team. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so just before I carry on here, just hello to all the viewers who are joining at this point in time, and joining me as a Kiwi NRL podcaster. He's another podcaster in the NRL world who's in New Zealand, based in New Zealand, but Kiwi based. So yeah, go and check them out. But another question I want to put to you is regards to the current state of New Zealand Rugby League in terms of grassroots. What's your thoughts around that at the moment? Because we know that with COVID, it's been a bit of a struggle. So what's your thoughts around the New Zealand Rugby League in terms of grassroots, like the junior level? Do you think New Zealand Rugby League needs to do a bit more, or to grow the game, or what is your general thoughts around it?
So straight off the top of my head, I think in grassroots we're trying as hard as we can with the resources we have at the moment.
Yep.
But yeah, of course you'd want to see them do more. But I think because I'm from a smaller province where league isn't prevalent at all, what I've started to see come through, which is a great idea, is that they're starting to run league tournament, like league comps after rugby's finished. So that's what you can see in our area is a Hodaki tournament. So after all the rugby comps are finished, they run a half season league comp at the end. So then coming into a town like ours, like really, really beyond grassroots, trying to compete with rugby union is like near impossible. So I think would welcome more resources. I think it's not for lack of people trying. It's resources and resources for those people to like take the game to the next level in New Zealand. But you can see they're doing a lot of good things. That they're trying with what they have. So there's some brilliant players out there, and I think with the Warriors being back at home with those feeder youth tournaments going on, I think that's always going to help. So long may the Warriors be from and in New Zealand.
Yeah, I mean, look, look, we see now with the Kiwis, it's a bit of a concern that there's not many Warriors players in the Kiwi side. So we've got them stretched out between the other NRL clubs, but the Warriors don't have any featuring in that Kiwi side, the World Cup, which is a bit a bit sad. It's a bit shame because you want to see the team in the the team in the NRL. The only team in the NRL have some players fielded in that Kiwi side and be representing a bit more, but because of the Warriors, lack of performances in the past couple of years that's why the Warriors ain't got many players featuring it. I don't know what your thoughts are around that.
Yeah, I think it's part of the Warriors and how they've been performing, but
it
comes back to the systems as well. One of the good players are going to other clubs, getting developed, and then so I think yes, and one if I have to take my actual Warriors goggles off and just look at it from a Kiwi perspective for the strength of the team, it's probably a really good thing.
Yeah.
Because if you're just too heavily invested in one team, if they're not going well and out of form, then that's probably not a good thing for the Kiwis. But the good thing about the New Zealand team at the moment is we've got we've got sprinklings of all the teams. Might not be great for cohesion, but it means we're not all reliant on one team playing well. It used to be the Warriors go well, they all get into pretty much the Kiwis team, and then the Kiwis team goes well. So it's like I think, I would love to see it, to not even see one, that's weird. Like Dell's in there, but, you've got Rats and Mulitalo in front of him. And it just seems odd not to have a Warrior in the top 13.
Yeah, look, on Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, obviously been a great Kiwi player for a while, for many years, and he's gone off to he's in rugby union at the moment. He's in the other code, but Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, what is your thoughts like? As a Kiwi fan, like the way he's been one of the great athletes, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. Well, what's your thoughts like on his career and overall, like the way he's been going?
Yeah, well, Rog, he came through at the Roosters and the Kiwis as well, and he's just a talent. And when he signed with the Warriors, that was awesome. That was one of another greatest day of my life kind of moments to see Roger come back to the Warriors. I always knew he'd go to Union and go well, regardless of whether he made the All Blacks or not. He obviously the way he prepares himself, the way he is, he's the ultimate professional. I just knew he'd go well. I'm a bit biased, so I really wanted to see him have a proper run with the All Blacks. So to get the time he did, I was a bit disappointed, but I'm not a full Union fan, so I spoke to the rest of my mates who watch a lot of Union and who else is out there, and they all seem to think that Roger still has a bit of time to go. So love Roger, and if I'm being honest, I wish he'd come back to league.
Yeah, do you see him coming back? There's been talks that he could come back in the future, but do you see him coming back? At his age right now, do you think once he's done with rugby, do you think he'll come back to the NRL, or do you think time's passed?
Yeah, it's a hard one.
He's
still quite early in his Union career, so with Union, it's really based around the World Cup cycles. So I think it depends if he goes to the World Cup and if he actually has a crack. I wouldn't say never. I would love to see him back, and if he did come back, please come back to the Warriors. That's a hard one. I kind of you want to see Rog do his best, what's the best he can. I want to see him make the All Blacks, be a starter, and be one of the best rugby players in New Zealand. So I want him to kill the All Blacks, go great, and then come back to league again. that'll be the ultimate.
Yeah, all right. So just read the comment here. It's got a comment here on the screen. He's saying Snoop Doggy Dog 17 says Joey Manu's looking too strong in this comp. Super League will try to steal him for sure. Yeah.
Well.
You never know.
What do you reckon? Yeah. I mean,
you never
everyone
know,
was
but
trying to steal him.
I'm sure the Roosters will try and keep him as long as they want. But I'd love to have
Yep.
him at the Warriors as a Warriors fan, but I don't think that's going to be likely to happen anytime soon. But
Yeah, it almost seems like just seeing that, like he's only played a handful of games he's played at fullback. He's been absolutely
yeah,
phenomenal. So, is there a world where he just he can't be stuck behind Teddy for that much longer? You'd think. And I know he wants to stick with the Roosters and win premierships. I'd give it, I personally would give it another year at the Roosters, maximum 2 of him sitting behind Teddy. Because the way Teddy plays and his endurance, he's probably there for another 4 or 5 years. I don't know. I just can't see them using, like, I just don't see a world where Joey won't be stuck behind Teddy. So I almost think it's a bit of a waste to see him, staying there as the stand-in fullback.
yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I really rate him at fullback. I think he's good at the fullback spot. I mean, he can play good anywhere. He's played well centre. He's been the best centre in the game
That's
as
right.
well. So, he plays well anywhere you put him. So you're never disappointed with whatever position you put him. He'll just do the job. And he's an absolute freak, Joey Mine. He's a great player. He's one of my favourites to watch in the NRL as well in terms of, the X factor that he brings as well. And he's just a great talent altogether.
He's phenomenal. And that's why
Yes.
I just can't see him staying at the Roosters. Like, he might, but I would love to see Joey at fullback all the time. Like see him against Tonga, and then in that game, it's just like he needs to play fullback. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyways, look, I think we're going to start talking. We'll start talking about the Rugby League World Cup. Actually, what's your impressions so far? We'll get through the game soon, but what's your impressions so far on the Rugby League World Cup the first week?
Yeah, it's been interesting. Samoa's collapse. Didn't see that coming. But then I don't think England should have been underdogs in that game. I had a bet on them at 13 plus because I just thought England at home, it's a stacked Samoan team, but in general, England seemed to find cohesion pretty quickly, and they have a great team. So I just couldn't get the odds on that anyway. But I did not see them punishing Samoa like that. Australia, they were a bit rough around the edges for the first 15-20, and then managed to pull away from Fiji, who were pretty brave at the start. Pretty similar with New Zealand. Lebanon are always passionate. They're always tough. They always have a crack. I'm part Lebanese, so I was kind of happy for them at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think I watched the Irish game. Ireland were good. The halves were good. Italy were strong. That was a great game. And then, man, I really thought Papua New Guinea deserved that game the other day, but Tonga just get it at the death there. So it's been exciting. It's good to see some different results. Obviously, Australia, New Zealand, and England all won, but one of my favourite games would have been the PG Tonga game. That was awesome. Alec Johnson out the back at fullback, he was awesome. I just feel like if they had Xavier Coates on the wing like they were supposed to, or what could have been, I reckon PNG probably take that game, eh? What about you, mate? Like, what have you liked? How have you found it?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think, I watched that one live actually, and it was 4:30 a.m. here in Queensland, so it was a bit of an early wake up to watch it, but I think it was a game worth watching. It actually, it was very worth watching, and I think Papua New Guinea, look, they started the game off very well, and Tonga, I think, took a bit of time to get going, particularly in the game, actually. And I think they started to find their rhythm at the back end of the half. And I think PNG had a few near misses as well, a couple of times where they should have crossed the line and they didn't score.
Yeah.
That winger there. As well. And then, Tonga, they just started to score PNG the game, and they came back to a few debatable decisions. Oh, what's happened here?
Oh, you still got me?
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hello?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Yep. I can hear you now. Yeah.
That's good.
Yep. Oh,
Might have been
don't
just
know
a
what happened
glitch
there.
of some kind.
Not too sure there. Probably some tech issues there. Anyway, it's all good. Yeah. So what I was saying that the Papua New Guinea, I thought they were very courageous and very brave, and I think maybe unlucky. I mean, unlucky to go down in that circumstance. Tonga scoring a try in the last couple of minutes there with I think it was Kionko Matangi, I think it scored. I think it was Kionko Matangi from my memory. Yeah, so he scored in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, it was hooker in that game.
Yeah, he was. He was playing hooker, so he was.
Yeah.
It was a bit odd, you know. Yeah, it was a bit strange how that all turned up, you know, because Tonga, obviously going into that game, I think for me was the biggest concern is Tonga's spine and how they would go, and it almost came unstuck there. That almost did for Tonga. They just got away with it. So I thought it was a great game. Actually, you know, game definitely a game of the tournament so far. Definitely contender for the game of the tournament because a lot of the other games were blowout scorelines, and so
they're a bit one-sided, eh?
Yeah, they were. So
yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, speaking of games, well, why don't we just go through the games? You know, just one by one, just give a general thoughts, and we'll after that we'll wrap it up. So, the first game was actually no, it was England Samoa. So England Samoa.
Yeah, it was.
In that order. Yeah, England Samoa. What were your thoughts on this game? I mean, I did a watch along with YouTube and hold the ball. We did a live watch along on his channel for this game. So we stayed up late for this one and watched it very early hours of the morning. But we weren't expecting this score line. I wasn't expecting it at all. It was an absolute toweling 60 points to 6. What are your thoughts on the game? What's your thoughts? What is your general thoughts overall?
Yeah, just first thing I thought about was cohesion. Like England looked like they've been playing together for the last 5 years or something. It was, I mean, Williams was great. Was it Wellesby, the 5'8"? Brilliant young player. Dom Young on the wing. Just their forward pack in general, like Victor Radley, like they had so many standouts. It's hard to just name one, but I think they showed attitude. The attitude they showed and the enthusiasm and just how much they wanted it. There's a lot being said about how good Samoa were, and then you know they would have had that in camp. England would have been like, okay, they're not rating us at all. And like I've told everyone, for like a month, you cannot write off England at home. Just because we don't watch the Super League every weekend, you can't, like people don't really see if they're like, oh, these players are no good, but they're all professionals. So, and I just disappointed with Samoa like everyone else. Even up front, they've got that forward pack is crazy, and to see them get just done like that was crazy. So, but then again, England's got an awesome forward pack. So you got the likes of Whitehead, you had Victor Radley, you had Burgess. They aren't no chumps. They're like top tier players. So, kudos to England. I love the way they played too. So, but Samoa, like Vossi said, he was saying they should just turn around, go home. But they probably need. I can't see them playing like that again. Like the good thing about that first game is I cannot see them getting pumped like that again. And if they do, it's not the roster. It has to be the coaching or there's something else in there that's not working, because that team on paper is the best Samoa team ever assembled. It might be the best ever in the future as well. And just to have that happen was, that was crazy. But kudos to England. They look sharp. Like I said, their halves were phenomenal, and quite often that can have quite a big gauge on the game. I think Luai or Milford was sent off for a bit, but he probably Milford and Luai didn't have their best games either. So, but then it's also harboring on the back foot. But yeah, you can't take anything away from England. I think they, obviously they dominated Samoa. So yeah, how about you, mate? What do you reckon?
Yeah, so for me, like I thought with England is the way they started this game, particularly. They gave nothing to that Samoan pack. Now I thought that England's 4 pack was something that they needed to come into the game and the Kiwis and probably Australia as well. But I think England started the game pretty well. They, dominated early on. They had a 2-0 lead, I believe it was early. And from there on, look, they just had a lot of possession, a lot of the ball, and I think somehow they just could not go with them. They really couldn't, and I think
they couldn't. No.
Lucky enough for them, they got that try, but I think that's they got that try before halftime, because I didn't think they were really threatening the English defence. And they needed to start off well in the second half, and they didn't really there. You can tell, and England, they just piled on the points, and it just got worse from there on. Samoa just had no answer.
Yeah, just went tackling almost.
They had a few injuries as well.
Nope, I might have lost you again.
Players come off injured. It was just the bad day at the office for some, probably something that they didn't expect. They came out there. They probably thought they were going to give it to put in a good performance, and they didn't do that. And I think England.
Nope. Lost you. Oh.
Hello.
Oh, might have lost you for a second.
I think I'm back now. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. Probably some issues on my end. Yeah, connection issues, internet. Anyways, So I was getting back to that. Any last thing you'd like to say about the England Samoa game? I thought Samoa obviously just not good enough there, and they need to work on a few things going to their next two games. Their next two games are must win now. So,
I haven't
any
got
final
much to add
thing?
to that. No, not really. It's one of those games where just Samoa have to be way better, and if they're not, then they're in trouble. So I can't see them playing like that again. But you'd like to hope not.
Yeah. All right. So, speaking of next game, this game actually, Australia versus Fiji, the world champions, kicking off their tournament against the Fiji Barty. What are your thoughts on this game? Actually, I mean, I only watched the highlights of this one, so I saw that Fiji got the first try. They scored pretty early, actually, and from there on, Australia just started to apply the pressure. But what's your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I think in the first 15 or 20, Fiji actually played well, but there was basic errors where they let Aussie back in, and obviously against Australia you cannot do that. But no, there were glimpses. Uppy was good out of early stages out of dummy half. They were doing all the right things. Obviously they scored first. But then Aussie's class just came to the fore near the end. I think seeing Latrell Mitt and Josh Adokar on the same edge, you'd say you'd be calling Freddie saying, "What's doing New South Wales?" That should have been the combo. Like I think Adokar's got something to prove over there this time round, and I think he was bloody good. Munster was just out the gate as per usual. Cherry Evans, he done the job without putting a stamp on it, which they have named Cleary for this week, eh? I think they have, yeah.
Yeah, they have, yep.
Yep. I'd say DC in that game would have had to just rip them to shreds personally, but to keep Cleary out of the jersey. Forwards were good, but yeah, it's kind of what you've come to expect if Australia were playing Fiji. I was going for Fiji, obviously. Love an underdog. They just dropping balls coming out of your own end and that sort of thing. You just can't do that against Aussie. But all in all, I think Fiji aren't playing Australia. They still got a really good squad, and they'll learn from that. But yeah, Australia can't really. Everyone expected them to do that, so I think they've done what the world expected them to. Really, to be honest. What about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, for me, look, I'm pretty much not surprised by the result and the scoreline. I mean, surprised actually that Fiji started pretty well and got the early try, but obviously they weren't. To be completely honest, I don't think they would have been able to withstand, putting pressure on the Australian side. Yeah, no, not for the whole game, not with that team that they've fielded. And again, they've named a strong side this week for their game against Scotland, which will be 60, 70 points. It'll
be a bloodbath.
That'll be an absolute flogging that game. So yeah, all I got to say is Australia just too good there, too strong, but Fiji did okay at the start, but at the end it's the final score that counts. And yeah, Australia won 42-8, which was a good start for them in terms of this World Cup and opening the tournament off for them. So yeah, good win there for Australia. But I think the next game was it? I think it was Scotland, Italy. No, it wasn't Scotland, Italy. I'm just trying to remember who the next game was. From my memory, because I haven't got it in order here. So,
it might have been Scotland. Yeah. It might have been, or was it Ireland as well? No,
I think it was Ireland, Jamaica.
I've got it here. What are we?
Oh.
England, Australia, Scotland, Italy. Yep. So 28-4 Italy. That was wasn't expecting that. Great performance from Italy. What do you think about that game? Pretty disappointing.
I mean, I tipped Scotland, so I was a little bit surprised by this result. Actually, I thought Italy just didn't have enough NRL experience or players around that side to beat Scotland, but. Yeah, I was a bit surprised by this one, actually. Yeah, I did not expect Scotland to go down to Italy. I think Italy was a strong performance here for them, and I think it was one of their wingers here had a very good game as well. So
had a day out.
He scored a hat trick, I believe.
Actually. Yeah. His name Mizin, however you say it.
Yeah, I think it's Jake Mason or something. Jake Mason.
Yeah. But yeah, Scotland had a pretty good. Well, the players I know, but you got Kane
Yeah,
Lynette, Ewan Aitken in the back row. You got James Bell, ex-Warrior,
yep,
I believe, at 13. Um, and then if you look at Italy, I'm like, apart from Nathan Brown, I'm like, who are these people? You know what I mean? So for them to
yeah,
do that, kudos. But I think that effort, is probably what Italy brung, and I think, it's great to see. I reckon, bloody great to see. One of them. It's a bit of a minnow battle, but yeah, it's good to see. So, I'm an underdog fan, so I like that.
yeah, yeah. So the scoreline was 28-4 actually, which is
Yeah, that's
I
right.
thought this game would be a closer game, but
Yeah,
Scotland, um,
just did not come to the party,
just
eh?
they just didn't
And
play very
yeah,
well, and Italy were too good on the scoreboard there, 28-4, which was a good result there for Italy actually, and they're in a very
yeah,
tough pool as well, so
yeah,
it'll be a good win to start for them. Just with the likes of, I believe they got Australia in this pool. I think from my memory, I
yeah.
think they got
So,
Australia. So
Australia and Fiji. So
yeah, it's a tough pool, and I believe they got Italy have got Fiji this week. So
yeah, so
that
I mean, if
that
they
could be
can jag one against the Fijians, then
yeah
you know that would see them being second, I'd say. But yeah, impressed with Italy. Like, I'm impressed mainly because I was surprised. So yeah,
yeah, and Italy got the next big games now against Fiji. So if they can upset Fiji, then they're in the box seat to make the knockouts, the
yeah,
finals,
and I
quarterfinals.
mean that
So
would be a dream result for them in reality.
yeah,
So
yeah, and I didn't pick them to do this well. So if they beat Fiji and make the finals, it'll be a bit of a surprise actually.
but Fiji are probably that next step up from Scotland, but they put 28 on them, so it's not
Yeah,
out of the grasp of what they can do. So it'll be good to see them do well. So yeah,
yep. So this next game, Jamaica versus Ireland. Now, boy, this was one-way traffic. It was one-way traffic. It was just too
yeah,
tough for the Jamaicans. First tournament for them, which is it's great to see new teams in the tournament. Even
yeah,
though they're not going to really be competitive, but it's great to see Jamaica as well in the tournament and Ireland as well. But it was a big win, 48-2, and Luke Keary was the main
the
star in this
star,
Ireland
yeah.
side. Yeah, he put on a very good performance here. Well,
They
what's
took
your
them off for
thoughts?
yeah. I think they took Kerry off in the last 20 too, so
Yeah,
that could have been even a worse scoreline. You do kind of feel sorry for the Jamaicans, but they won't be feeling sorry for themselves because just getting there, I think, for them was a massive achievement. And there's a lot of guys that aren't full-time players. So, who's the fullback for Ireland? He was really good. Myler, I think his name is.
yeah,
Is it
yeah.
Myler? Yeah, yeah. He
Yep.
was sharp. Keys and Kerry together, they were really good. It just shows what a half decent half pairing can do to a team. It can really elevate a team with a lot of amateurs in it. I think Jamaica were brave, but they just didn't have the answers. Ireland looked obviously the better trained, better skilled. They just had it all over Jamaica, over the whole park. And Jamaica are in for a hard day at the office this week against the Kiwis. So, but Ireland, I put as my team to watch for the tournament. I think
Yep.
with their spine they have, I think they can really, they've got the combinations to be decent. So they showed that on the weekend, putting nearly 50 points on Jamaica. What do you make about the Jamaican penalty goal? They just sort of
Yeah,
grabbed
I
a
mean,
couple of 2 points just to get their score.
yeah, just some points on the board. I mean, obviously you don't want to be held to zero there. So,
No,
well, it's yeah. I mean, look, I expected this sort of for Jamaican side to struggle, and I think they showed it in their warm up game as well. I think they had a warm up game leading into this tournament. So, yeah, it's just great to see them in the tournament and being able to play at a Rugby League World Cup on a big stage, which is something new for them. So, I'm sure they'll
yeah,
learn
and like I
plenty out of
said,
these.
there's
Yeah, I'm
probably
sure
not that
they'll.
many professionals in their team. So
Yeah,
imagine that. So this week they'll be going out. it's like a couple of it's like club level footy players going out this weekend and playing James Fisher Harris and Carpenter and the Cheese and like imagine that. So not to be condescending, but
Yeah.
imagine that they'll be. I'd be pumped to get fucking rolled over by James Fisher Harris. I'd love that. But yeah, so
Yeah.
there's probably not too much to add to that game. It kind of is
Yep.
what it is. But yeah, I'm really interested to see how Ireland carry on throughout the tournament. I think Lebanon will be a really good test for them, seeing how they played against New Zealand. So I think that game, Ireland Lebanon this week, I think it is, will be quite a good game to watch. I reckon could go either way.
Yeah, it could actually, and I think Lebanon have got some issues as well with plays. And Adam Dewey's trying to fight his charge, I believe it is. Because
Are they trying to fight it?
Yeah, he's
The
trying
way
to fight it
trying to fight his charge.
at the judiciary or whatever they call it over there. Yeah, he's trying to get
what
off.
What did he say? He said something. Come on, ref, give us some effing calls or something. And he sent him off for the rest of the game, which is pretty rough. But there's no point going at the ref because you never win. In my opinion, so I don't know if that was worth it. But I think when he was on with Mitchell Moses, Lebanon had threats. So yeah.
Yeah, speaking of Lebanon, New Zealand Kiwis actually played their first game of the tournament. Took on the Lebanon side. What is your thoughts? What is your thoughts on this game particularly? Because I thought the Kiwis started the game off pretty slowly actually, and took a bit of time for them to get going and with combinations in that. And yeah, I think Lebanon were particularly brave early in this game. Actually, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Lebanon threw all their tricks out straight away. And so with the short kickoffs, they were very brave. They knew they slowed the ruck down really well. I think they always had 3 to 4 players in there, and the ref was just not giving penalties. I think that's been the same over most of the World Cup. To be honest, the ruck's been really slow, which plays into the hands of say like the minnow teams, because if you're getting a roll on and you got the big forward pack like New Zealand do, it's absolutely game over. So I think Lebanon were good in that regard. They obviously sat down, looked at their game plan. I think Mitchell Moses was awesome. Duahi, or what's doing, however you say it now. I think he's changed it to Duahi.
Yeah,
he was awesome as well.
Yeah.
Well, he stayed on. Their locker, Rami, I think his name was. He was awesome as well. I think he's New South Wales Cup at the moment, possibly. Someone might correct me if I'm wrong, but he was great. I think Italy were just brave. You had Mansour and his twin on the other side. So, no, I think surprised a little bit by Lebanon, but not really. They always have to crack. So, the one thing I probably wanted a lot more out of the Kiwis, but it is the first game.
Yeah.
Room to improve. Obviously, Joey Manu was bloody brilliant.
Yeah.
A lot of the other players played okay, and they've done their job. But yeah, what do you think, mate? How do you think for yourself? How do you think they played?
Yeah, look, I thought we started to find our rhythm, just in the 25th minute, and I think it was Kenny Bromwich. Thought he was pretty good in this game. Thought he was strong.
Yeah, actually, you're right. Yeah, Kenny was good. Yeah. He looked a threat every time he hit it.
Yeah, he was great. Kenneth Bromwich. Yeah, he was good. Joey Manu. Look, Joey Manu, not really. You can praise him all you like because he's just outstanding. And what he did in that second half, scored that try, which Lebanon actually started well in the second half. I was starting to get a little bit anxious
worried.
that worried. As a Kiwis fan, I was thinking, is Lebanon still in this fight? They're still in this game, and Joey Manu just made sure that wasn't going to be the case, and he scored that try, and it was great bit of skills there, and I mean, what more you can say about that guy? He's an absolute freak, Joey Manu. He's an incredible athlete, and I mean,
you take him out of that game, like it's a lot closer game. So, a little bit disappointed with New Zealand, but hey, I'd rather them play like that now. And it wasn't that horrific either. I just think Lebanon played They had a good game plan. Obviously, the coaches have sat down and looked like probably think it's a long shot to beat these guys. The short kickoffs and that kind of threw everything. Because if you are Lebanon, one of those smaller teams, it's actually a great tactic to just, you can't play the same. You can't just go into like, get through your set, kick to a corner, because you're not going to do that against Australia and New Zealand and win. So kudos to Lebanon, my Lebanese cousins. They went well.
Yeah, I mean, I got to say, even though Lebanon didn't get the result, I think they could take a lot of positives going into the next couple of games coming up, which they've got a big one this week, which I'm sure they will definitely want to win, just to get themselves back on track and pushing for that quarterfinal spot. But I thought Lebanon could take a lot out of it. I mean, Mitchell Moses, I thought played all right too. I thought he had a pretty good game. Adam Dewey, I thought was all right too. Adam Dewey, how you say it, sorry.
Dewey.
Dewey, yeah. It's Dewey, yeah. So I'm not the best with pronunciations, but yeah, good shine by Lebanon and the Kiwis. They just get it done and get the win, which is important.
Winning, mate. That's the most
important. A win is a win. You take it, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, but moving on to this game, actually, I think this one was probably a game which I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward to. This was an absolute cracking match. Matama Tonga versus Papua New Guinea Kiwis. Boy, what's your thoughts? I mean, this game really lived up to hype. I was hoping it would, and it did for sure. I mean, it was a cracker.
I mean, like I said off air, I was like, if Xavier Coates had played, I feel like PNG would have won because he just ices those. Xavier Coates gets tries he shouldn't score, whereas the guy they had filling in, who's a centre usually anyway, he put his foot out just running that ball in when there was no one around him, like things like that. Like Kumals, you can take a lot out of it. Like they'd be stoked, but then, man, I feel like they should have won that, and personally. And I may have been going for them a little bit, but and Alex Johnson out the back, wow, how much fullback has he played? Because geez, he was bloody good. It was amazing for them. And then obviously you got Olam on that left edge. When Johnson would sweep around on the left, man, that looked good. It looked like they played together the whole time. So and they're 5'8", Laybuck, he was really good too.
Yeah, he was. He was. Yep.
And I think Tonga probably need to play. I mean, if they're bringing that effort out against New Zealand or Australia or England, like you'd be worried. But I think you can be worried, but I think there's obviously look at the team Tonga have, so you can't be that worried. But you might be a little bit. I think, and then Kumals they actually had quite a few errors as well. So take out those errors. Xavier Coates plays. If the ref got the calls right.
Yeah.
I think there's a comment there now, but what do you think, mate?
Yeah, man. So this comment here is saying here from Snoop Doggy Dog 17 says 3 disallowed tries for PNG. That must have been very tough for them. Yeah, absolutely. I thought I think they were hard done by in some of those tries, some of those disallowed tries. I mean, that I can't remember who it was, but that for me, the try that was supposed to be scored in the corner, he for me got that down. I think they looked at the replay
it looked down to me
times.
as well.
Yeah, I mean they looked at it a few times, and I was hoping that they would actually, but they said no try. So I saw the ball was grounded on the line for me. But yeah, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things like you can go back to all the ref calls and who should have played. At the end of the day, they did make quite a few errors that are coming out of their own end and things. So if they tidied that up, then that would have been great for them. But once again, you have to give it to Tonga. That last try was absolutely out the gate. That was just crazy. And I did really feel sorry for the Kumals at that stage because the whole game they defended so valiantly. And that was just brilliance at the end that undone it. So, like I said, for PNG, you'd be disappointed with the loss, but you'd be kind of happy with how you performed, but not. So, yeah, it must be tough for them. It'll be tough for PNG, but who do you know who they're playing this week? I can't remember who they're playing. It will be
Oh,
yeah, other than Tonga and PNG's pool. I can check. I
have a
think
check.
Tonga
I
would be
can't.
the top team in that division. I think.
Yeah.
Oh, I got the Cookies. That's right.
Oh, yep. Oh,
And
yeah.
then Wales.
Oh, yep. So yeah, I think that pool is it's a very tough pool. That one. I think that's pretty much the pick of the pool. That one for the pool of death for me. But yeah, I mean Papua New Guinea. I mean Cook Islands won't be easy. I'm sure they won't be an easy game for
No,
them.
but then again, it's always hard to tell. But from that game against
Yeah,
Wales,
it
even
is.
though we're not onto it yet, I feel like the Cookies didn't play that well either. But it's still their first game, so it's really hard to get a line. But I'd see it being Tonga, Papua New Guinea, Cook Islands. So I could see Papua New Guinea going through to the next. But you
Yep.
never know. The Cookies could pull off even they got their win in like dramatic fashion. So you just don't know. I'd love PNG
Yeah.
to get through.
Yeah. Yep. Anything more you like to add on this game? I think for me, it's just that PNG were, very gallant and resilient. And I think there was one player that actually stood out for me in particular, and that was their hooker actually. And
I Puppy
Edwin,
or I
Edwin
Puppy, whatever
and
it is.
Pape. Yeah,
It's Puppy, yeah.
I did a video about it. I gave him my man of the match. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
No, he
mean
played awesome.
he was great. He was outstanding. He was courageous in that PNG side.
I think he's signed to the Super League next season, isn't he? I've seen him come up somewhere. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I've heard about that actually.
So whoever signed him, they'll be bloody wrecked because he's a good player, yeah.
Yeah,
But
well,
no, apart from that, yeah.
someone told me that he was in Manly's system in
Oh, yeah.
2020. I believe he was on a train and trial contract. So didn't get it, and the Manly didn't sign him on to full
Didn't
time
sign him on.
contract. But yeah, I believe he was in that system somewhere. But
That's what I love
anyways,
about the World Cup. That's what I love
yeah,
about the World Cup. You just
yeah,
see players and you're like, we
yeah,
need a centre, or like we need a hooker. Get that guy.
all these players that you've never heard of before. That's why international rugby league for me is it's
Yeah.
the pinnacle. I believe it's the pinnacle. I don't know what your thoughts are because state of origin is so big here in Australia, but I've always been a fan of the international game, and I think the international game needs to be given more attention.
For
Personally,
me, it's a pinnacle, and it
yeah,
needs to be in my eyes.
yeah,
And yeah, that's why I'm one of those guys. And they say, which team do you go for at state of origin time? I say, I don't. I go for the Kiwis
yeah.
because
That's
there's so many like people who never watch league that they're New South Wales or Queensland. I don't have a problem with people who supporting either or the other if they follow the game, but we've got bloody hairdressers and that bloody going for New South Wales and bloody Martin in New Zealand. You're like, what's doing? Who's playing? They're like Dan Carter. You're like, yeah, okay. But yeah, for me, I want it to be, so I say it is that the international game is a pinnacle.
yeah, and I think for me I don't know why they're doing this, but the NRL next year are not going to have mid-year internationals anymore. So they're
I
scrapping
was
that
so
altogether.
disappointed.
I still don't understand it. I still don't understand why they're doing it. I mean,
It was such a
these
great weekend
teams,
of footy.
these teams deserve like recognition, and they're not going to get any games. So
Well,
I
you've
don't.
got it makes sense to have it on that weekend. Like the
Yeah,
teams have a bot. Like it made so sense in so many ways. So for them to scrap it, but I think they want to have a full dedicated window at the end of the season, which I can understand. But my initial thoughts is what I was gutted. So
yeah. Well said there. Yeah, I mean, just think it's ridiculous how they're getting rid of it. To me.
yeah, we need some mid season bloody test.
Yeah, but anyways, we'll move on to this next game very quickly. So we've got Wales and the Cook Islands. So this game was very close actually as well. 18-12.
Yes, and I believe
Yeah,
they was it kind of I did watch it in between work and kids, but yeah, so Stephen Masters, the cousin of Ethan, got a try in the 64th minute. So
yeah,
man, Wales played good. I felt like I feel like they kind of deserved to win that one too because they were probably the best with. You could tell that when you've got the class players like Zane Tavano and Dominic Peru and Mairoa, like when their forwards were feeling like going forward, the Cooks, they did. But
Yep.
the half combination of Olds and I think his name was Ralph, the other half, he was really good, and their fullback Aikens, he was great. So yeah, another close game. I feel like Wales were the underdogs, so I was going for them. I don't. So once again, I get stitched up at the end, but credit to the Cookies as well. They played well. Yeah, I mean they probably didn't play their best actually, to be honest, but they got the one in the end, and that's all that really counts at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's I think I personally didn't watch this one live. I saw the highlights, but yeah, Cook Islands. I mean they played well. They were great, and Wales they were courageous in their performance as well. I mean, many people probably would have expected the Cook Islands to win it, rather easily, given the fact that they've got a lot of players that have played in the NRL. So I think, for me, the scoreline may be a shock, but Wales just turned up and were very brave in their performance and courageous. So nearly getting the win. So
yeah, the cohesion of Wales was they're very. I guess it's the same with rugby too. Like with the European teams, are usually very well structured, and they done that really well. And like I said, the halves played really well as well. So yeah, but then the Cookies at the end just had the flair to get over top of them. So no, full credit to our Cook Island Cuzzies getting the win.
Yeah, so I think there's another game that I missed. Actually, there's one more game. Yeah.
Yes, sorry, there was. I didn't see that on the list.
I just saw that
what
now
one was
too.
that?
France and
France, yes.
And Greece. Yeah, that's right. So one more game there. I missed it. So yeah. What are your thoughts? What were your thoughts on this one? Lastly.
Yeah, so I think the Greece boys, once again, like with what we're saying with the smaller, the more not smaller but unknown teams, they had a fair crack, eh?
Yep.
You can't put down what they had a crack, and that's what you can ask them. I think they got the first try as well.
I think it was.
Might not.
I think. Yeah, it was France that got the first try, and I think Greece scored a couple of tries towards the second half.
Towards the end, yes, they did. Yeah. But yeah, I think France aren't a superpower, but they've been around rugby league for years, so that I think the scoreline's to be expected. But I think Greece were brave also. So without knowing many of the players, I watched most of the game, but if I watched it back, it probably wasn't my favourite. If I was going to pick a favourite game, probably wasn't one of my favourite ones to watch. But I think Greece were brave and valiant and had a crack. So that's what you can really ask them. What about yourself? Did you see any of it?
To be completely honest, I didn't see this game either. I mean, I watched the majority of the games, but this game is probably the one I didn't see. I watched the highlights. So, look, I think the French were good. They were very good, but Greece, were quite good themselves as well. Scoring a couple of tries, just getting some points on the board. Not being get put to zero, which is good for them. First game. You got to remember it's his first Rugby League
illegal.
World Cup. Yeah,
Rugby League was illegal in Greece last year.
Yeah, there was amazing story around the Greece Rugby League and how
they just even be there.
Yeah, incredible story. I read about it. It's just amazing. Yeah.
I think they played their match to get in. They qualify. They played it. I think they played it at midnight.
Yep.
And they had like private Facebook groups to tell people where they were playing and who they're playing. So, absolute effort to get there, and it's good to see they weren't absolutely flogged. I think they'll be really impressed with that, doing that, like hanging in there with France. So, yeah.
Yeah, anyway, so those are all the games here for week one. Anything more you'd like to add before we quickly talk about the Kiwis and Jamaica game?
No, that's probably it. We've probably spoken
Yep.
on all the games, so yeah, that'll be it.
Yeah, all right. So we'll talk about this one quickly, just briefly. I'll have my own sort of preview and predictions and all that coming out this week on this one. But
Yep.
the New Zealand Kiwis taking on the Jamaica side. How do you see it going? How do you see this game going as a Kiwi fan? Do you think this will be, well, it should be really a big
Yeah.
score the Kiwis are going to put, but yeah,
I'll
what are
be,
you going to look?
yeah. I'll be disappointed if Kiwis didn't put 50 plus on Jamaica. I'd actually be worried.
Yeah.
We're seeing Jamaica's game against Ireland, and for Ireland to put 50 on Jamaica, I know it isn't as simple as that, but
Yeah.
New Zealand have no excuse but to actually punish Jamaica. So I feel sorry for the Reggae Warriors, but I think I really want the Kiwis to show patience and just get to their systems. And I know it's hard against the lesser teams, but yeah, it's a bit selfish, but I want to see 50 plus, and I'd actually be worried if they didn't do that against Jamaica, because you're coming up against Australia and England. They're the ones I've seen that is the biggest worry, obviously, and yeah. What about you, mate? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, look, I can only see this game going one way. I think for me, it's just that this Kiwis team will probably be a little bit disappointed with that first game. They, yes, they got the result, they won, but I don't think they would be too happy with their performance in general.
Yeah.
I mean, the scoreline shows that they won, pretty convincingly, but I don't think Michael Maguire will be too happy the way they played in that first game, and they want to, show a bit of a better performance. So that's generally what I think, and I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what team they'll line up with this week when the teams get named. So
would you make any changes to the team they played in the week being?
look, I probably would. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably throw some different players out there. I mean, you got. I think Dylan Brown may be rested for this game. I think they might rest him. I just have that feeling that they might not play him in this one. Maybe Brandon Smith might have a rest too. I think they might, maybe start.
Maybe JMK gets a start. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Drew Marshall-King might get a start there in the hooker spot.
Do you reckon they'll continue with Chansey in the centre there, or do you reckon they'll give Seb Chris another crack?
Yeah, I think maybe Sebastian Chris might get a crack there. Actually, I think Chance might get a bit
without playing. Yeah, I think obviously he hasn't played much centre, so his timing that was a bit out. But then you can understand why. So it's a bit of a hard one, but I personally would like to see Chris have another crack. I think he's just devastating with the ball, and when he played out on that edge against Leeds, he was phenomenal. So I'm a fan of playing people in their position. So I personally, if you've got a specialised centre who made it to like the semi-finals of the NRL and had a breakout season, I probably would like to see that centre in there, as opposed to Chansey, who's an awesome guy, tries 200%. But to be honest, to me, he's a fullback. So why put a fullback in there when you've got, one of the top, or he'd be in the top 6 or 7 centres in the NRL. You'd think you'd chuck him in. So I want to see Chris get a start, and then maybe I would like to see Tarpany and Fisher Harris be up front. So the likelihood of that happening is probably slim, being that yes, he's the captain, but I think Tarpany is one of the best front rowers in the world, so I'd like to see him play there. Personally, you don't lose too much by having him at lock, but I just feel like I would really like to see the world's best prop play prop at some point.
Yeah, I mean, the Kiwis got a bunch of riches there that they can choose from. Their 4 picks just incredible. They've got a lot of depth there, crazy depth. Just it's hard to guess what the lineup's going to be looking like now. So that's something that Michael Maguire is going to have headaches around. Just
bit of a headache,
the selection.
and then
Yeah,
but that whole combinations versus giving someone else a run. So, but I feel sorry for Jamaica. If I'm being honest, imagine seeing that full pack. Imagine seeing that full pack standing across from you.
Yeah,
That would be freaky.
it's gonna be a tough one for Jamaica, but it is, like I say, that it's just great to see them, even competing in this Rugby League World Cup, just being able to play, and I'm sure they'll just gain experience off it. Just obviously, and they'll probably want to try and qualify for the next World Cup as well. I'm sure they don't want to just appear in this one; they want to appear in the next couple ones, and it's just a bit of an experience for Jamaica. And unfortunately, it probably won't be a pretty one, but it's something they're going to go through. Like,
you got to start somewhere, right?
Learning.
You
learning.
Can't come in and win the World Cup. You're probably gonna cop a bit to start with. So, but no, like you said, it's good to see them in there, and it's good to see the great game of rugby league being spread into other countries.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like same with having lots of Wales in there. You got Cook Islands. You just Italy as well, Ireland, and it's good to see those teams
Greece.
in there. Greece as well. Shout out to them. But first time in the Rugby League World Cup, which is good to see. But last thing I want to say on this game is just that the Kiwis, I think, will win it well, and they'll put on a score on Jamaica. But anything more you'd like to add? Yeah.
No, they just have to. They just, I think we'll cop this week's performance if they go up another gear this week coming. If they don't, big question mark, personally. But go the Kiwis. Come on. Cricket score.
Yep.
Has to be.
Yep. So, just lastly before we get on out of here and end the show, the Kiwis, what are you thinking for the rest of this tournament in terms of the World Cup? Like, what is your thinking? Do you think the Kiwis can go on and make the final and possibly win it, or do you think it'll be tough? How do you see it, like in terms of a Kiwi fan's perspective? What do you think is going to happen for the Kiwis throughout this tournament?
So it's a bit of a tough one because obviously if Aussie win all their games and we do, we meet them in the semi-finals. And if we want to beat Aussie, we have to be at our best. We can't not show up. So I see a lot is on this game, even though it's just against Jamaica. But I think it's a bit of a precedent. So I think if we can. Well, like obviously it makes sense if we get past Australia. I think New Zealand have the best chance they've had in a while to win the tournament. So, anything other than making the final and it being a contest, I'll be very disappointed, to be honest. I think we've got the team to beat Australia, but we just need to put it together on the day.
Yeah, just pop into the chat here. The close stuff says, hello, how's it going, mate? He's saying here the Kiwis put on 100 generally.
I mean, I can see that if New Zealand play how they should, you put 74 on Leeds, who are professional players. So, if you don't at least put 74 on Jamaica, then, like I said, I'll be quite disappointed. There should be tries aplenty. There has to be, but I think they'll know that too. Plus, there'll be a few of the finals players. Blowing a few cobwebs out. So, and then I think Lebanon pulled a few tricks out. So I don't think the Kiwis will be complacent. Not that they were super complacent, but they probably weren't expecting half the stuff that Lebanon threw at them. So I think that's a definite possibility. Might be the first 100 scoreline of the tournament.
Well,
generally, I think it could be.
I mean, I think the Kiwis will, put plenty of points on, but my feeling is that they may take the foot off the gas a little bit. Maguire might bring on some changes, and we'll see some different combinations. We might see some few errors in there because they might be throwing out some different players onto the field. So hold the ball. How's it going? It's good to see you hold the ball. But
hey mate, how are you?
So I'd like to thank the Kiwi NRL podcast for coming on tonight and chatting about the Kiwis and rugby league in general and the World Cup. It's been great to have you on. So thanks for coming on tonight.
No worries, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. We're kind of new to the podcast and content game, so always keen. Always appreciate being given an opportunity. So I'd just like to say thanks for having us on, and go the mighty Kiwi.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure, and go and check out their podcast. I believe. Where can they find you? Where can they find you?
Yeah, so we're on YouTube and Spotify mainly. So we're on YouTube, Spotify, and then follow us on Insta. So it's just at Kiwi NRL Podcast. And yeah, we've you can either watch us on YouTube, listen to us on Spotify, and interact on Instagram or Facebook. So yeah, get amongst it, whānau, if you want to hear more of my dribble.
Yeah, go check them out. I highly recommend you do. It's great to have a Kiwi perspective in an NRL podcast as well. If you want to, don't want to listen to the Australian journalist Fox League or all those people dribble all their crap. So go check them out instead. I mean, go give them a listen. And thanks to all the viewers for tuning in. Thanks to everyone for watching and then commenting and interacting in the live chat there. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel as well. Getting close to 2K subscribers, so we're almost at the 1,700 mark at the moment. So yeah, getting very close. Hopefully, the goal is to get to 2K subscribers probably at the end of this Rugby League World Cup. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and like the stream as well. Like it back if you're watching it back, and comment below as well. But thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Have a good evening, a good night, and go the Kiwis and enjoy the rest of the Rugby League World Cup. Thanks everyone.